folks, to this game development log. Today we're going to see some advancements we have done in our project. Basically, what we added is a more detailed background and some features to show you how level design is done for a particular game. In this case, our 2D scroller. My God, that word really gave me trouble there. I'm sorry. So anyway, we've done a lot of changes in our game since the last time we talked. For one thing, you'll see that the images data has gone quite a bit longer, or a bit bigger, sorry, than the previous one. If you recall some of these images, you may remember from the previous video that some of these images are to generate the animations of the characters and the enemies. But we also added a few more images that you see here that are meant to represent the level. And we also made a little map using a text file, which is a pretty cool feature that I will discuss right now. So anyway, if you see this map, you'll see that it's a string map with number values, basically, right? And if I scroll right here, you'll see that this is meant to represent something. And when I run the program and you see the program, you'll see what it is meant to represent. So let's dig in a little bit in the code. Well, this is all the animation we did in our last episode. But here we created a new set of variables, right? If you recall, these were images to develop the animation characters, the character animation. Here, these public static image variables, static means that these are constants, are the new background variables that we are using for our background design, for our level design. So we are just calling them, right? We're generating them, just like we did last time with the rest of the images that we were using. We are not affecting in any way the animation processes that we worked on the last time. Okay, here in our start method, we initialize the tiles for our levels using this command, right? And we create, what we're doing here is loading into the program the text file that we created with the map. Also, notice that here I imported a few new superclasses from Java library, which are buffer reader, file reader, and IO exception. The use for these will be apparent soon, so be patient. Okay, let's go down. After we created and initialized our tile variables, what we do is to create the map. And what is the map? The map is really an array list in Java that is a matrix. And this method here is loading the map and creating the matrix. Here's where we use the buffer reader superclass that we imported from Java. What it is doing is just like going through the file, reading each one of the characters individually. And this method is also analyzing what to do when there are no lines in text files. So for instance, here there are no lines, no characters, then we skip it. We skip it, and we read only this. Here we are creating the tiles and painting them. Okay. Now notice that we created a new tile class. This tile class is what creates the tile objects. The objects are 40 by 40 pixelated images. So this is to create the necessary coordinate transformation to use it in our frame. Here we are calling this is the constructor. What happens if we get a 5 here in the text file? Each one of these numbers represents a single image. What happens when we get an 8, what happens when we get a 4, what happens when we get a 6 and a 2, and etc, etc. And this is how it is updated. Now, the important here to remember is that these are to be updated to scroll at a different speed than the character and the background. So that's why we're calling the background class here too, here, as a background object BG. Okay, back to starting class. As you can see, this code is fairly sophisticated. What it is doing is just reading each one of these characters, and then it calls the tile array, which is an array variable that we created here, that stores the tiles. Okay, so let's take a look at how these things look in reality. Okay, we press play. It takes a little bit longer to execute because this is a much more complex code than before, and it has to execute several classes. But be patient, it will get there, or not. Oh, there we go. So everything was created. You can see that the characters are still animated. We can still fire, we can duck, we can jump, and we can move. And here is the background. Now, of course, you can see that these are not actual platforms as of now, except for this, because this is where the character is meant to stay. We cannot go any lower than these tiles that we see down here. Now, the next step will be to add some collision detection to this program in order for us to be able to recognize that these tiles are actual ground and that we can jump on them. That collision algorithm will also allow us to, finally be able to attack these guys and receive attack from them as we take damage and can eventually die. But that's for next week. This week, all we did was just read the text file. Now, the reason I'm playing this over and over again is because I want to show you what happens here. Do you see anything familiar? Yes, that's right. This mimics the actual game level. So all we did was just to read these, assign values to each one of the images that we had, and just paint them accordingly to the map. So in this fashion, we can actually design with a single method any kind of level that we want. If we want a complete different set of drawings, for instance, if I want to add, say, a blockade here, I could do it just by adding the corresponding numbers in this corresponding fashion. So that's a fun feature to experiment with. And okay, as you can see, we've made a lot of progress with our game. Soon I think we'll be complete. I think this project will last for 2 more weeks or so, and then we can start the real fun, because we're going to start with the Unity engine. That's right, the famous Unity engine, which will allow us to create much more complex games. And that was all for today. Thank you for watching. See you. Leave a comment, like the video, ask questions, whatever the hell you like.